right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish here, once again with my buddies through the miracle of computer phone, here with Chuck Anderson.
Hey now.
Of the 1-3 Miami Heat, and with John Burr.
Too soon.
3-1.
The 3-1 Memphis Grizzlies. Too soon, Chuck? Too early in the day? All right.
Too early.
Here. It's not too early in the day for men of a certain age talk. Boys, I got back from the dermatologist.
Hey now.
How's your mole growth?
Well, not great. No, I think it's fine. I think when you're my age, the only thing you're concerned about when you go to the dermatologist is if you'll have a young, attractive doctor. And I did. But it turns out I think she was kind of new. And it might have been, you guys seen that 30 Rock where John Hamm's a doctor?
Oh, yeah.
You find out whether or not your skin tags are in erogenous zone today?
So I think it might have been it could have been a John Hamm situation, because then the older doctor came in and I said some stuff to her, and then the older doctor was like, "Oh, do you know what that is?" Turning to the younger doctor, and the doctor's like, "No." And then she was teaching her, and then they're like, "All right, let's freeze off the spot on your nose. We're gonna freeze it off. It's some old sun damage." And they gave the cryo freeze thing to the younger doctor, and I was like, "I would like you. Could you? I think I would like you to do the freeze thing on my face, where like it could scab up and go horribly." But I didn't say anything. I just stood there and closed my eyes, and I was like, "This is the new. I feel like this is the new kid on the block, being like, hey, why don't you spray this old guy's nose?" And just get some hands-on experience.
You have Southern gentleman disease.
Yes.
Where you'd rather being rude would be worse than scarring or even death.
Well, there was a thing where the more experienced doctor, I'm just guessing based on age and the fact that she knew what the thing was I described, and the other doctor did not. She's like, "Hey, did you check out his chest and back?" And the younger one was like, "No." And then when we're basically done, I was like, "Do you want to check out my chest and back? Because like I come here every 5 years, so I would like I've been waiting 5 years. Just should we have a once over?" And she was like, "Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, take your shit." So I did at least speak up there and not just quietly be polite and say nothing. But anyways, that has been this week's content for older aging gentlemen, which by the way has been our best listens. Get the most feedback. Oh, also we got great feedback from Pickin' Raspberries segment.
People love raspberries.
Yeah.
Where's your line on when you ask for the more experienced doctor? Is it so I had a similar instance when my child was born. They were like, "Hey, can this new obstetrician deliver your child?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, no, they can watch. Yeah, they can watch. Right. Yeah.
And then but where's your line? You think is it probably broken arm?
Anything?
Childbirth easily over the line.
I want a urologist that knows what they're doing.
Okay. Nothing about tie and tighten arm.
Hey, I made jokes about my urologist that it was Dr. Johnson and he was not the award-winning doctor. It turns out I found out, and this is some very anti-American vitriol from me. It turned out his name was Niels Johnson, like Niels, and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds European. That's cool."
Yeah,
that guy was probably awesome.
British.
Where's the line? Okay, it wasn't having possible visual scabbing on my face with the cryotherapy. I don't know about draw blood. I probably wouldn't say anything like, "Hey, this is the first time. Can they give it a go?" I don't know. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have said anything. Now that I'm getting into like my older privileged white man life, where I'm like, this isn't a parking spot, but I'm going to park here. What are they going to do? But I don't, Chuck, do you have any, what's your?
So I want some, if you're going to put a scalpel to my body, I need to see like all of your certificates. I need to.
Chuck, would you let LeBron James tattoo you? Because LeBron James was tattooing his tattoo artist.
Yeah, see, that's a thing people do.
You've never tattooed someone?
I've never tattooed anybody.
What?
Yeah, I know. And that's,
I figured it's some bizarre
only the receiver.
I've only received.
Yeah,
I've never
given, huh?
Never
actually,
given.
That checks out. Actually,
yeah.
I've never been. And also, I'm not really into inflicting pain, like physical pain. It doesn't, doesn't bring me any sort of joy. So I'm not interested in it at all. Also, my hands are like shaky. So I don't want to like mess somebody up. It's supposed to be a smiley face and it looks like the who cares emoji.
What about a mechanic, John? What if they're like, hey,
this is great.
If the new guy works on your the new guy patches your tire?
This is great. I just had a Southern Gentleman response this week. So I have this old Prius that I used to drive, right? And I just want to sell it, but I don't want to sell it with any problems, right? Yeah. Because I would feel bad. Like I almost sold it to Chuck, and then I was like, Chuck, I can't sell you this car. I don't think it's going to work. So I'm trying to get it fixed. But I don't want to get it that fixed, if you know what I mean. I think you do. Like, I don't want to spend a ton of money on it.
Of course.
But someone stole the catalytic converter out of the bottom of it recently. So I felt like I had to get that fixed. And then I took it to a place where there's a pro wrestler who works there. First red alert that I wanted to take it to, almost just so I could talk to this pro wrestler. I like pro wrestlers. And I was like, can you put another catalytic converter in there and then just tell me how much it's going to cost to get this car saleable?
Yeah.
Now, pro wrestlers are carnies. They're circus freaks. They shouldn't be trusted. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
This guy immediately fixes everything that he possibly could on the car, avoids my calls for about 10 days, shows me a bill for like $2,300.
Yeah, that's catalytic converter price.
But I mean, that's not that.
Well, and he also fixed everything else.
Well, maybe he threw it in for free,
which I didn't want to do.
Good deal.
But instead of being like, man, I didn't ask you to fix the whole car. I asked for, what to do.
Yeah, you're supposed to go. You're supposed to go 30 miles outside of town, John.
Yeah, I was just like, here's your money, Virgil.
I had that same situation. I went to my hometown of Franklin, Tennessee. And I knew, like, hey, this guy was married to my third grade teacher. If you need anything, you go to this guy's shop. And I gave him a similar situation, John. I want to sell my beat up car, but I think you told me there's a crack in the engine block where oil seeps out or something.
Right.
What is the ethical thing to do if you sell it? He's like, you know what I'd do? I'd hose off the bottom real good so there's no oil. Take it to CarMax. So I mean that was a brilliant. free mechanics tip. He doesn't charge me
really
anything.
Good.
He said, just spray off the bottom. He's like, I can do it for you. Maybe spray it off. So that's.
I think you just solved my conundrum.
Yeah, CarMax.
Although actually now the car just works and I just paid a lot of money for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you want to sell the house, you fix up everything. You're like, oh, this house is nice now.
Well, I can now probably sell it for what I just paid.
Why didn't I fix it up so I could have that? Anyways, we got to get going on this stuff. Another big show for us, but we do have to do our breakfast. Have you had breakfast? I'll say on the way out of the dermatologist, I had a raspberry Nutri-Grain bar, the type of Nutri-Grain bar my children do not like, and so I'm dutifully finishing the pack. It's a Nutri-Grain bar.
That's what's up.
Chuck? What'd you have?
Today's breakfast was trash, but I had some kolaches this weekend.
Magaz?
No, these were homemade.
Oh, okay.
Homemade vegan kolaches.
Magaz kolaches are really just pigs in a blanket. Let's be real.
I mean, it can.
I think you probably did better.
Yeah. These were great. There were some egg, just egg and vegan sausage in it, vegan cheese. We did a little like oat milk wash on the outside so they brown up, because you're not putting eggs in a vegan kolache, so they don't brown up.
Oat milk wash vegan kolache.
I know, dude. You could try.
I am a little bit turned off right now.
I don't like you anymore.
Yeah, you could say whatever you want. These were fire. They tasted incredible. There was also a jalapeno one that was insane, and we made a bunch and we gave them to friends. You could be upset that you didn't get any, but you wouldn't have been able to tell it was vegan. I promise you, it was incredible. So shout out kolaches, homemade kolaches.
John, what'd you have?
I ate at the Madison Family Restaurant at 6:15 a.m. this morning.
Wow.
I had country ham. I was asked if I wanted city ham, which I take as an insult every time.
What is that? What is city ham?
City ham is sweet ham.
Oh.
And it's sometimes cubed.
Like a honey glazed sort of?
No, I think it's been sitting in sugar water. I don't like it when they ask me, because it's almost like they're like
a trap. Of course. Yeah.
But it was great. It was one of those pieces of ham, Chuck. Do you know these where it's bigger than the plate?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's like overlapping,
hanging off like a
touching
floppy
the
hat.
table, and like it's disgusting yet beautiful at the same time.
That's incredible. Wow. You were up really, really early.
Well, my kid can't sleep. She can't hear. It's fluid in her ears. So instead of parenting, I just leave the premises.
Good idea.
I hope everything's okay, but apparently it's not. Anyways, those were our breakfasts. After our breakfast, we moved to our breakfast in bed. Apologies. This is our first opportunity usually to talk about basketball, which the show is supposed to be about. Does anyone have anything they need to apologize for? Chuck, what do you need to make right in the world?
Once upon a time, I was a Dwayne Dedmon fan. I was out here on a limb saying he was a top 5 backup center. He is atrocious. I don't understand why he's on the team that I root for. And I apologize for ever standing for this specific NBA player.
Well, there's a clear reason why he's on the team right now, Chuck. He's matching salary.
Yes, he is
potential
a future trade chip. That salary
is supposed to be a walking trade exception, but he's a playing trade exception.
Right.
He's supposed to not be playing.
And he's just like unplayable. I can't stand to watch him.
Also,
just trash.
You said once upon a time, you said he was a top 5 backup center in the NBA. I would like our listeners to make sure they know that once upon a time was in May.
It was
year. 5 months ago.
Months ago.
It was 5 months ago.
That was Chuck's last.
That's one of those. That's one of those where moment. If you're on the YouTube, John and I's eyes get real wide. Like, where are we going with that?
I cornered Chuck with my anti-Dwayne Dedmon stance.
Yeah, John.
Really,
I think you spoke.
I just wanted to make some Undertaker
I might have
jokes.
Southern Gentleman did.
Yeah,
I think I might have Southern Gentleman not said it, but John, you were like, "Are you going to stand by that?
Yeah.
Are you going to have that?"
Well, look, this is why we foster a culture of accountability on this show with this segment.
Balances.
I think it's an important part of our lifestyles.
Yes.
To come here and confess I am a Reformed Catholic. This fills a part of my spirit that allows me to live guilt-free. So
no, I think it's important that we make absolution.
Culpa.
We acknowledge the wrongs early in the show, so then we can go forward with our sinning. With the rest of the show,
we will continue to have fire hot takes.
What do you need to confess?
So there have been various times on this show, and I think even most recently after Keith did like a Grits and Grinds episode about how inevitable Desmond Bane's continued improvement would be. Whereas as much as I like Desmond Bane, and I've even tried to order his jersey. It never arrived. Thank you, Grizzlies. He just doesn't. He has so much just a guyism about him to me. Like he looks like a really athletic guy who happens to be good at basketball. Like it doesn't look like your traditional basketball player. So I just have a hard time.
It looks like a boxer or a running back or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a running back, I think.
It's like Lorenzo Neal to me.
Like bodybuilder vibe. Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah. So I just have a hard time buying that he can be like this elite skill set guy who can do it all. And like last night, damn,
32 points in the second half.
Like that was Claytheism.
It was extreme Claytheism.
It's just when you can play against Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant's Nets and they combine for like 80 points and you like win easily.
The Grizzlies face the Nets. And Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving scored 74 points on 72% true shooting. And they did not have enough firepower to keep up with the grit and grind Grizzlies.
And this is with like Dylan Brooks, like discombobulatingly flying or like
Dylan Brooks was
how to play basketball.
Horrifying. He came out, that thing where you're like, I don't know. I guess everyone gets loose differently. Like, I got to warm up first. Like maybe I gotta run out there, just run real hard for a second. Like for whatever reason, the pregame ritual doesn't get my body where I need to be. I actually need actual game time to sprint, get my second wind going or whatever. Dylan Brooks goes out there, just jacks up a horrible shot and commits a foul with like 20 seconds into the game. And I'm like, man, he's just getting loose. He's getting limber. He's warming up. No,
Couldn't even get mad at Dylan Brooks though, because I did appreciate how angry he was making Kevin Durant. Did he stop him from scoring? Not at all. Not
It's
at all.
one of those funny things where
he really was making him mad, and they were like screaming at each other.
We got a technical on Kevin Durant late in the game. He drew an offensive foul, but it's one of those things where it's like a Dylan Brooks apologist, which I definitely dabble in. You'd be like, man, he brings that stuff, and like also, who else are you gonna have to guard Kevin Durant? But then you look at Kevin Durant, you're like, Kevin Durant's made 14 out of 18 shots. I don't know if
Dylan Brooks,
like maybe he's making him work. But
we've never seen
a double team, and Durant got anything he wanted.
You know how Michael Jordan like made it look easy?
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks makes everything look hard.
That's true.
And I think it might actually be hard. And I think it's going to get old. But back to Bane, like just transcendent performance. Like, and I love Desmond Bane, but like I'm going to have to start like coming around to the notion that he could be an elite player.
Is this, John, does this go to the biblical thing of a prophet is never accepted in his hometown, where we don't see the star potential of the guys on our own team? Because I have difficulty with this. This is not my apology, but it could be. Why do I keep doubting Ja Morant? Why do I keep putting limits on Ja Morant? Why do I say, oh, Ja Morant's gonna John thinks he should bet Ja Morant for the scoring title? I'm like, that's a bit outrageous. I'm like, Ja Morant is going to try to win MVP. Like, yeah, he finished top 5, but he's not in the same class as these other people. Why do I keep limiting Ja Morant? Ja Morant right now, per 100 possessions, is averaging 51.6 points.
That's pretty good.
That's impossible. That doesn't make any sense.
And they are now, there's only 3 kinds of shots: impossible layups, dunks, and long 3-pointers.
He did a Michael Jordan the shot tribute where he like double pumped it 3 times from 17 feet and made it before landing. He hits these daggers. He's made 12 of his 23 pointers this year. He's averaging 3 3-pointers made per game. He's leading the NBA in free throws made per game. He's making Jimmy Butler levels of free throws and accuracy. He's making 86% of his free throws, 35 points per game in 33 minutes. It's unbelievable. And I'm sitting here with a stupid Grizzlies podcast being like,
I don't know, guys.
I don't know. Probably can't keep that going. So, he's so good. And it's so wild. No, here's my actual apology. I forgot the name of the rat in Ratatouille. I was talking to David Roth.
Patton Oswalt.
Remy is the character of the rat in Ratatouille. Very embarrassing on multiple levels. I rode the Ratatouille ride at Disney World like a month ago. I should have known that. I could also apologize to the guest David Roth for saying his breakfast was the breakfast of a rat. So not my finest hour. For that, I apologize. Anyways, don't miss the Grizzlies of tomorrow when the Memphis Hustle open their 2022-2023 season against the Lakeland Magic on Friday, November 4th at the Lander Center. That's near Memphis in Mississippi for our national and international listeners. The Lander Center. It's at 7 p.m. presented by Campbell Clinic. Visit memphishustle.com for the tune-in details or to purchase tickets today. And stay connected and follow the Grizzlies at MemGrizz, and also follow Grind City Media at Grind City Media across all social channels, including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That is for our international listeners. Follow at MemGrizz and at Grind City Media for all the breaking news, one-of-a-kind content, and perspectives you won't find anywhere else. All right, steak and eggs, best thing. We're doing the first week of the NBA season. There's just so much to choose from. I'm not going to limit you. I'm not going to be like it's you at that Madison Breakfast Diner. John, I assume there's a lot of great options you can choose from. So I don't want to limit you guys and how much you're having here of steak and eggs. If you only want to do one, that's fine too. But what are the best things you saw from this week? John, what's your steak and eggs?
Mine's a little off kilter this week. Mine is actually a segment that we're debuting this week because we kind of somehow forgot to do our predictions this year. So this is cheat day, boys. Yep. I know you're familiar with this, Chuck.
Oh, that's all I do.
After we get through our regular stuff, we're going to go back through and make some late 3 to 4 games in predictions, which in my head will be infinitely better than predictions we've made without 3 to 4 games of knowledge.
I like it. You say forgot to do the predictions. I say purposefully omitted because I find them cliche. Yeah, but sure. I love this cheat day idea that now we have a little bit of data. Now we have 4 games in.
food related too. It fits the.
Keith never realizes that these stupid things we do after year, I look forward to them and want to do them.
No, I apologize, John.
I'm the water cooler guy.
We have to, man. We gotta pick our segment for this glorious 80 minutes a week, and over unders it is.
If I don't have these yearly segments, I can't relate to the common man.
Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's not tease the thing. Let's do it right now.
All right.
So what we're gonna do? We're gonna pick what we want to pick. I think we should pick the who's gonna make the finals, who's gonna win the finals. We're gonna pick MVP. We're gonna pick Rookie of the Year. Anything else we need to do?
Maybe can we talk? I'm very interested in everyone. I feel like there's a new line in the sand that people have to draw where they make their stance on teams making the play-in or not.
Oh yeah, let's pick our playoff teams. I love it.
Yeah, I think playoff teams is probably what I was missing the most.
All right,
to be totally frank,
let's go with this. Let's start with MVP. I think preseason, I'm just going to assume based on the way you always talk about him, you had Luka Doncic as your MVP pick, John. I know he's one of the betting favorites.
So I made wagers. I've made 2 wagers, and I think I'm okay with this. This is a bad start for cheat day because I think I'm okay with this. I had Luka Doncic and Ja Morant were the 2 guys I put money on. Oh, and I put money on Zion Williamson and Damian Lillard.
Ooh, those are all very good. I would say I can remember my preseason MVP pick. I believe I said this somewhere was Giannis. I thought Giannis would return to the heights of MVP.
Well, they haven't played any games yet, so
yeah, they're on this weird. We went to UAE schedule. They've played 2 games. He did in the last game. I think had 44 points and 12 rebounds in like 17 minutes or something. It was I think it was 28. It was one of the weirdest.
Still dunk from the 3-point line. So I think you're okay.
Chuck, who's your MVP? Who are your MVP? If you had to pick a favorite,
cheat day MVP.
Cheat day MVP. You gotta see partial answers. And
I saw that Giannis destruction of the Rockets. It made me feel like he was inevitable. He is unbelievable, and narratives matter. I think, if he could get back to number 1 in the East, which Milwaukee looks like they can do it even without Middleton right now. Give me Giannis because narratives work, and they're not giving it to Jokic again. And I think Luka and Ja are a couple mango seasons out. They need to.
I will say, a
couple more mango seasons.
Much like my sort of apology, Ja Morant is the one I wasn't giving much credence to. I'm not like,
it's possible
he might be the best player in the NBA, or something.
Possible.
Although, he definitely got, he got body slammed by Luka in that one game. So,
but that was 3 games in 4 nights.
3 games in 4 nights. The Mavs are resting. Also,
thank you, Chuck. Look at that.
Ja Morant is 1-6.
In the Grizzlies with some facts.
Ja Morant is 1-6 all time head to head against Luka Doncic. I would say my pick. I would still say Giannis, but I think I might after the first week I might go Giannis first favorite, Steph second favorite, coming off a title season, and I think the Warriors are going to be awesome, which we might get to next, and who's going to win the title, and then I'll go Ja third. All right, so who do we think? Who are your finals picks? Who are your finals picks based on this short?
So this is where cheat day matters a lot to me because
you're picking the Trailblazers.
4 games in, I'm abandoning my Clippers title predictions.
Yeah.
I'm running for the hills, and I'm going to cheat on cheat day, and I'm going to reconnoiter for the team I've seen the least because all the teams that I'm into, like the Sixers and the Clippers, I'm now afraid. So now I think I'm going to saunter on over to a Bucks pick. I think I'm going to lean into the 0 games played Milwaukee Bucks. I also think the Celtics look impressive again.
Well, so the Celtics got blown out by the Bulls on Monday night. I have not seen that game, and I don't know how that happened. And so that really kind of shook up the team I thought might be the best team in the East this year. And that leads me with a little cheat day to sticking with the Bucks out of the East. I'm still going Warriors. I think the Warriors are the best team. I know they lost to the Nuggets, but I think they're deep and they got a lot of options. Little Dante DiVincenzo playing really well. I don't think they're not missing any of these Otto Porters, Gary Payton 2 or anything. I think I would say Warriors Bucks, which might have honestly been my preseason pick, but I'm not feeling tempted by a Clippers team. I'm not feeling tempted by a Celtics team based on the first week. Chuck, what are your predictions for the finals?
I'm gonna go with the game that I saw from the Western Conference last week that stood out was Denver Golden State, and the way Jokic just kind of like calmly led them to beat the defending champs. I like Denver early, and I think Jokic with that crew of dudes coming back. I don't know. Bruce Brown.
So
you
saw that one Warriors game. Unfortunately, I've basically watched the entire other 3 Nuggets games, and I'm like, oh, this team is bad. This team needs dribblers.
I think you should reconsider Warriors
not playing.
I think you should reconsider Warriors.
Well, last year
Warriors don't care about anything.
They don't, and they also have like a level of like just consistent. Their floor is going to be probably the Western Conference Finals if they're healthy. But I don't know. I love Jokic. I just think it's early on they're going to have to figure out how to reintegrate Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. But I think
they look reintegrated.
I think it's going to take a little time.
Well,
but I like that team.
Here's something that could make us look very, very silly. Based on the first week of the season, we are avoiding some teams that have had an excellent start. According to Cleaning the Glass, wait a minute. Wait, what's that song? Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Spagliatos. This is a game of scones, spontaneous game of scones. Considering the first week of the season, which 5 teams have the best point differential in the NBA? This is throwing out garbage time. Which 5 teams have the best point differential in the NBA? The first person to strike out loses. Chuck, would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first.
All right. The 5 teams with the best point differential 1 week into the NBA season.
Well, the Mavericks blew out the Grizzlies by 40. I'm going to guess that helps. So I'll go with the Dallas Mavericks.
Dallas Mavericks are number 1. Even when you throw out the entire fourth quarter, the Mavericks are number 1. And of course, they also have just played 2 games. So Mavericks are 1-1, but number 1 at plus 16.9. Good job, Chuck. John, your turn.
You're muted.
I'm sorry. Suns.
The Phoenix Suns are 2-1, but no, they are 10th in that rating. That's a strike for John.
No.
Back to you, Chuck.
The Milwaukee Buckaroos.
The Milwaukee Bucks have played 2 games. They're undefeated. They are number 2. Look at Chuck. He's doing the family feud. Number 1 off the board, number 2 off the board. He's going to make a straight run of it.
All right, Pelicans. I'm going to stay weird.
The New Orleans Pelicans, despite losing to the Jazz, are correct. They are 4th in net rating. Good job, John. Back to you, Chuck. We have 2 teams left.
Cleveland?
Cleveland is 6th. Oh, plus 10.8. So close, Chuck. But that's a strike. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
All right, John.
I hate to do this. Can you tell me who's been selected?
The Mavericks, the Bucks, and the Pelicans.
The Blazers?
The Blazers are undefeated, but only 7th in net rating. That is 2 strikes for John. He is on the precipice. Chuck, you only have 1 strike. It is your turn to guess again.
I don't know. The Warriors?
The Warriors are 8th. Oh, we've gotten 6, 7, and 8, but all those are strikes. They all count the same. Both players with 2 strikes. Next strike loses. John, you're up. All very good guesses. Very proud.
This is how I've lived my life. I'm on the verge of plummeting to my death. I'm at the precipice, but I have to take a swing here. I'm going to say Charlotte Hornets.
Your Charlotte Hornets are 3rd. That is correct. The Charlotte Hornets plus 12.9 behind Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah.
Who waltzed into Atlanta and beat a double all-star backcourt of the Atlanta Hawks. That is correct. We have one team left. Chuck, now to you.
Didn't the Knicks blow somebody out? I'm just thinking about blowouts. I don't know, the Knicks.
And that is a winner for Chuck
What?
Anderson. The Knicks are 5th in net rating, plus 11.4. Good job. We don't have a strikeout. We had a clear winner.
Turns
Chuck
out
Anderson.
having a point guard is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Knicks 2-1 plus 11.4. Anyways, let's keep going with these cheat day predictions. Let's do Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Rookie of the Year based on the first 2 to 4 games of the season. Chuck, you want to go first?
The kid in Orlando, Paolo Banchero.
Banchero's killing it.
He, his debut was LeBron-esque, and he posterized somebody, which means he'll be fun to watch. That's the early returns on the 5 minutes I watched Orlando play.
Paolo has been the best non-Ja Morant basketball player I've watched this year. That is weird.
Wow.
So
he just looks effortlessly awesome.
Now, is it going to be a problem if the Magic go 0-82 for him to win this Rookie of the Year?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like that's an award that's safe from winsism.
Like, I think he could average 25 a game. Like, he can
he's averaging like 27 now.
Right now, he's at 22.8 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 3 assists. But they're 0-4. I think
that's just good rookieism right here.
I would actually think I'm going to say it's very, very close.
Are you on the Mathurin?
I'm going to go the Mathurin route. Mathurin is averaging 22 points per game off the bench, and he's all.
Yeah, I was about to say
he had his first bad game against the Sixers on Monday night. He had a very poor first half, but in the second half, he came on again. Like he woke up again.
Batadze is ahead of him on the guard depth chart, so I think you're gonna have some trouble there. I mean, the Pacers are committed to this.
I mean, they are starting. No joke, they're starting Aaron Nesmith over him. Aaron Nesmith is awful, just so bad. But like, if Mathurin keeps getting the minutes, he might be there. I do think the Pacers. This is my controversial take in the preseason. I think the Pacers are better than the Magic. And I think he could be there. Keegan Murray has only played 2 games.
I was about to say Keegan Murray looks awesome. Like looks like he made displace Sabonis awesome.
Yeah. Like Keegan Murray's looked awesome. I mean, Jaden Ivey's been good. Yeah. Jabari Smith, I didn't see this game on Monday night, but his stat line was unreal as the Rockets take down the undefeated Jazz. He had, I think, 21 and 9 and 3 blocks and 3 made threes. I mean, that's perfection. Also, he got in a yelling fight with Jalen Green. You see this video?
I did.
Jalen Green and Jabari Smith are yelling at each other. And Eric Gordon just looks like the old dog who's been there, who sees the young pups fighting. And he's like, I'm so bored of this. He had the most bored. He's like, I'm not gonna stand. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna sit here and watch these guys yell at each other. It was great.
It looks exactly like there's an episode from like 3 weeks ago where you and Chuck got heated, and I'm just like, all right, okay.
the Tyler Johnson contract episode.
Tyler Johnson.
Okay. So I think Jabari Smith should still come around, but Paolo seems safest, and he was the preseason favorite. But if I could get any odds on Mathurin or Keegan Murray, I would consider it. For me, it's a 3-player race, but I am keeping an eye on Jaden Ivey and Jabari.
Can we get Santi Aldama reclassified as a rookie, please?
It feels like a rookie. Can we get a most improved player for Santi Aldama? You know what, John?
Hail the Santi Christ.
John, I know you have to dislike on-off net rating swing because it favors Dylan Brooks. But would you like to guess what Santi Aldama's on-off net rating swing is for the Grizzlies this season? How many points per 100 possessions better are they when Santi Aldama is on the court?
2.5.
65. Whoa. 65, John. I don't know why you went low with like a middling.
I thought you were going to try to switch me.
No.
I thought you were going to try to switch me.
Nope. Right. No, there was no bait and switch. They are 65 points better per 100 possessions.
I am waiting for Santi Aldama to just do anything wrong. Anything wrong.
He was not good in the road games. He was very kind of silly. But his home games.
But here's the deal. Like what I like about Santi's game is that like even when he's doing something wrong, I'm like, I totally understand why he did that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if he can be late on a rotation, but he's making the rotation. Does that make sense? He's getting there.
Let's finish up our preseason predictions 1 week into the year. Our cheat day predictions with you. Want to pick some playoff teams? Pick your playoff teams.
That's what I want. That's
All
what
right.
I actually missed.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Pick your.
Mine have changed slightly.
Pick your playoff teams in the. Just what do you got in the East, John?
I have my playoff teams. My Eastern playoff teams have changed. Not at all. I have Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, Heat, Cavs, Raptors, Nets, Hawks, Bulls, Knicks. However, what I would like to change is I no longer have the Nets and Bulls in the play-in anymore. I would now like to shift the Heat and Raptors into the play-in.
Chuck, would you like to respond?
The Heat look interesting, and I'm not sure if they're going to be a top 3 Eastern seed like I thought. They're having a hard time defending. And
can I ask you a question? How many times in a row can you watch the Heat run the same pick and roll scheme in a game before you go insane?
They love to spam like Bam Tyler pick and rolls. And then Tyler turns into like a turnover machine late in game against Toronto. It was hard to watch.
The Heat, Keith, have you watched the Heat yet?
I have.
Unwatchable.
A lot of ISO,
Chuck,
a lot of
are
ISO
you?
too.
I don't know. I don't want to step on your toes. Is it your worst thing that the South Beach flu that the Raptors are inoculated from it? They spent like 4 days in Miami and then won the game on the last night because they had a better fourth quarter than the Heat.
They looked better than us. We might have the opposite situation where we need to go on a road trip to like fix what we've been.
I got you.
Dealing with. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I don't understand why Hayward Highsmith gets a lot of minutes. Jamal Cain's on the bench. Jovic looked great in preseasons, got no tick.
Well, he's
couldn't
suspended.
play in the 4th game because he got suspended for leaving the bench for the Caleb Martin kerfuffle.
Caleb Martin, Heat culture.
The Caleb Martin spine buster going out of
Alex Lynn double leg takedown.
My takeaway from that entire fracas was you saw Adam Silver's hand on the scales of justice, different from David Stern's, with the fact that Jovic was the only player suspended based on everyone who left the bench.
Right. There was a lot of people
let's suspend the one guy who doesn't play.
Who hasn't played yet.
Was Christian Coloco ejected for being tackled?
He was. He was.
Yeah, he was there.
You have to be more pliant. You have to be even more.
You need to. He should have stayed on the
sprawl.
ground.
You got to sprawl.
Yeah. He should have stayed on the ground and showed his belly. That's what he should have done.
That's right. That's the way you get to stay in the game. Wait, John. So your playoff teams, you said Knicks, right?
Oh, I need to cut too.
No, you said yeah.
So I used to have the Bulls and the Knicks on the outside, right? Just barely missing it. I have the Bulls and the Knicks are both going to make the playoffs now. I've got the Hawks and Raptors slipping out. That's my psychotic cheat day. Too many conclusions jump to decisions there.
I just saw the Raptors 2 games in a row. They are relentless, and Pascal Siakam is looking like a god. Yeah. Like he is unreal.
He's added a fake spin move to his other move.
When you are a very good power forward and the team you're playing doesn't have any power forwards,
0 power forwards,
you can sometimes maybe look even better than you actually are.
Yeah, that's probably the case.
Chuck, what 8 teams do you have playoff teams out of the East?
Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Cavs, Heat are going to be between 4 and 5, but I don't think they're a play-in team. And then Knicks, Raps. Okay. I think the Knicks can make the play-in.
I'm talking the 8. I want the 8. I want the 8.
Playoffs.
I think the Knicks can make the playoffs.
I think
you got the Raptors in the playoffs.
I got the Hawks in.
You have 12 teams in right now.
I have 14 teams in.
Do you have the Raptors and the Nets?
I have the Raptors and the Nets. So I'll go Bucks, Celtics,
Sixers, Raptors, Heat, Cavs, Hawks, Nets.
Yes.
You're leaving out the Bulls and the Knicks.
Bulls look good to me.
The Bulls look incredible, but I'm not sure.
I don't know what to make. Again, there's this mystery game floating out there where they beat the Celtics by double digits. I haven't seen it.
They looked incredible against the Heat, but DeMar DeRozan went insane.
DeMar DeRozan is sick, man.
He does that.
He is. Yeah. He does that. So that's kind of
Ayo Dosunmu is sick.
But
Ayo Dosunmu looking good. I put him.
He looked really good too.
My teams. I got Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Raptors, Heat, Cavs. And then I don't have the Knicks on the same level as the Nets, Hawks, and Bulls. I don't know if that's wrong because I see your net rating, Knicks. I think I'm going to go Bulls and Hawks.
Okay.
Down on Hawks.
I think the Nets are out.
Really?
I don't think it's going to go.
You know what? I think you're right, but I don't want to do that after the Grizzlies beat them last night, so I absolutely refuse. Because I want that win to mean more.
The Grizzlies are 29th in defense and the Nets are 30th.
I know.
So, no, for me, it comes down to basically the Hawks, Nets, and Bulls, and two of those three are getting in. Like, I mean, honestly, the Heat could be in there because the Heat not looking good.
Yeah.
Eastern Conference is incredibly slammed and exciting. Incredibly slammed.
I hope it's the Sixers that miss. Western Conference, has anything changed? Although we never even said it. We all have, Warriors. Do we all have Nuggets?
Yes.
We all have Clippers.
Yes.
Do we all have Grizzlies?
Yes. The Grizzlies have moved up most for me. There was a point where I had them as low as 6.
Do we all have Suns?
Yes.
Yes.
But they're moving down for me. Playing teams.
So that's 5 teams. Who are your other? Oh, do we all have Mavericks? I have the Mavericks.
Yes.
All right,
Nugs.
so we all have Warriors, Nuggets, Clippers, Grizzlies, Suns, Mavericks. Who are your other 2 teams that are going to make it?
Timberwolves.
Yep.
And give me the did we have Pels?
And then the Pels, yeah. I think that's smart. And that is similarly how I have it. The team that looks the worst to me out of those 8 is the Timberwolves. And I know it's because Kyle Anderson has missed almost all their games. It will be fine when Slow-Mo comes back. I don't like their guards. I mean, I guess Anthony Edwards is a guard, but like Jalen Noel's fine. And Jordan McLaughlin's like, he's good for a guy you wouldn't think you'd have to depend on.
Yeah, but those aren't their guards.
And like Taurean Prince is like, there's a lot of minutes going to guys where I'm like, really? Him? And so I don't know. And the front court pairing, I got some questions. Losing the Gobert Bowl to the Jazz, like huge. That probably on its own has like a week to 2 week hangover.
Yeah,
and it's just going to be rough. Because if you remember their schedule, when you looked at the schedule before the season, it was like,
oh, they might.
The Timberwolves are going to
go.
Yeah, they're going 9-0. They're playing only tanking teams for the first 9 games,
and they squeaked out.
They're 2-2.
Yeah, they squeaked out a victory against OKC. OKC took them to the wire, and Rudy Gobert had 25 and 15 rebounds or something like that. Yeah. So that was nuts. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
So, John, do you have anything different? So we did not. So can I go through my pre and post cheat day? Yes.
Yeah.
What are you cheat day?
Pre and post.
Unlike the Eastern Conference, this is absolutely transformation. My pre cheat day was Clippers at 1, Nuggets, Mavs, Suns, Dubs, Grizzlies at 6, Timberwolves, Pelicans, Blazers, Lakers. No Moss. Now I've got like Mavs and Warriors and Nuggets are and now Grizzlies are in a stratosphere 4 up above the rest. And then it's like this slap fight for the rest of the spots. And now outside looking in, I have the Timberwolves and Lakers missing it with the Blazers jumping into our playoff fracas, which may be some Billipsism.
I think I'm still going to exclude the 4-0 Portland Trailblazers. They should have lost to the Lakers. Like that was a great miracle win, basically. Yeah. And here, but since we're all messed up, my steak and eggs best thing was from that Trailblazers Lakers game.
Oh yeah.
Was referee Ed Malloy explaining that Yusuf Nurkic was in legal guarding position, made incidental contact, and then Beverly took a dive. The referee saying Beverly took a dive.
He took a dive.
Oh, it was the best. What a great moment.
That is a moment from an ELO song. I'm taking a dive.
I have the Timberwolves and the Pelicans as the last two teams in.
Isn't that crazy to say out loud? Pelicans is one of the last two teams in. The Pelicans look awesome.
I mean, the Clippers are weird. And by the way, we have a croissant question, I believe from Clint Harding, who says,
it's a good one.
Is Kawhi Leonard the greatest ninth man in NBA history?
It's actually from Drew.
From Drew. I'm sorry. It is a great question, Drew. These games it's odd. Kawhi Leonard plays the last 6 minutes of each half or something.
I am so weirded out by the Clippers that I just think that they're stupid.
Well, Norm Powell and Reggie Jackson have been terrible so far. Just
and those are two players I respect and think are good. I don't know.
John Wall's back
at
it.
Multiple fantasy leagues. It's going
15 points on 15 shots.
John Wall looks nice though. I mean,
back at it.
I
love it.
No, but I think the Clippers, they've got there's some machine learning making their lineup decisions for them. There's an AI process that allows them, that calculates risk factors and injury.
His name is Steve Ballmer.
And yes, he happens to be the CEO. He is a humanoid, actually, not actually a human.
So, who are the other great? Was Kevin McHale ever a ninth man? I know he won 6 man of the year. Bill Walton, yeah. Bill Walton, who won MVP coming off the bench or so. Oh, no, he won MVP playing 30 games, and then he won 6 man another year. I mean, Iguodala, the 6th man of the year, his minutes were real low, weren't they? The Kawhi, I don't know what they're doing with the minutes. It is better than the Zion minute limitations his rookie year, where he can only play the first 6 minutes, and why don't you just have him play the last 6 minutes if it's only 6? I don't know. Who knows?
Is there anything sadder than Zion waddling off the court after 6 minutes?
After he personally orchestrated a run. I remember that happening in his first game against the Spurs. He hit 4 threes.
He hit all those 3-pointers.
And then they're like, "Hey, Zion, you got to go to the bench, even though we're about to win this
Charlie
game."
Brown Christmas music starts playing.
Oh, here's another Patreon supporter question. Ben wants to know what's the proper betting line. He's got 2 of them for games played, and over under games played. Say a bet between friends. Set the line for Kawhi Leonard games played and Jaren Jackson Jr. games played. So what, John, you're the gambling expert. What do you think? What would you set a prop if we were to wager you and me or something? What's your Kawhi games played? Would you set it at?
I think betting against a Grizzlies games played is a fool's errand. So I'll take the Grizzlies. I'll take. I think Grizzlies are crafty about their. I never know how long a guy is out.
Just the individual number. Let's start with Jaren then. What's an individual number for games played for Jaren this season? My understanding, which I'll throw out there.
I'll set it at 60.
Okay, that's a lot. So I think I was thinking lower. I was thinking 52.
42. Okay.
Yeah.
50. Yeah. 50.
Because
55.
He's probably going to miss. He's already missed 4. And he's supposed to miss
2 more weeks.
12 to 15. Yeah. Maybe 2 more weeks total. So if he misses 15 on the front end, and he's going to miss games later for sitting out back-to-backs and just getting banged up. Yeah.
Good point.
I feel 50.
Yeah, and Kawhi, it's
missing every back-to-back. How many games would that put Kawhi at? You think 60?
That would lose him. That would lose him. I think 14. I think the Clippers have 14 back-to-backs.
It's not just. I've read he's not just missing the second night of back-to-backs. He's also not playing on any day with a U in the letter of the day name. So
I love it when Chuck has begun one of his dad jokes, and you have to wait for the end of it.
There's
a timbre to his voice.
I would put Jaren's at 50, and I would put Kawhi's at 53. But I think who's going to play more is a fair bet.
I think whatever Kawhi plays is probably the optimal amount of games for an NBA player to play to get to the playoffs. This is all algorithm stuff.
What they're doing with Kawhi makes me think that if anything happens, any discomfort, any tightness in the ass,
a runny
he's
nose,
going to sit. Right. So I think the Grizzlies are need to get Jaren on the court and are wanting to get Jaren on the court. So I would think more games missed for Kawhi.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I drafted Kawhi in every league, and I'm getting rid of him in every league. I can't.
Yeah, that was a mistake. I wanted him. I was like, oh, this could be valuable.
Yeah,
like if he's IR eligible for the games he missed,
oh, he's ready for this. Right. Trade him for Brad Beal in a league.
Great. Seems like a great deal.
Good, huh?
So, John, you had the Blazers in over the who?
The guys I have on the outside looking in now are the Timberwolves and Lakers, and Lakers to me are like
I don't even
way
mention,
below.
Who cares? Yeah. No, over. So you have the Timberwolves missing the playoffs, which I think is interesting, and then Chuck and I have the Pelicans Timberwolves making the playoffs, and we're basically agreed on the top 6, or at least teams we're the most confident in is the Mavericks, Suns, Grizzlies, Clippers, Nuggets, and Warriors. All right, have we done it? Is that all, any other preseason predictions we need to do, or can we continue with the format of the show now? I feel good about it.
Yeah, unless you do 6 man of the year, most improved player. I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
Kidding.
Santi Aldama for both. Chuck, do you have a best thing?
Yeah, man. It's October. We're about to have Halloween.
Yes, sir.
And who's doing it better than the Philadelphia 76ers? They've already got Tobias Scaris. Huh?
Oh, dear.
There's Daniel Haunted House. Hey, now. But my favorite one is Joel Embiid, right? Because he's getting booed in Philly. What's up with that, Philly fans? Y'all out here booing the process?
He had 40 points the other night.
Let's take it easy points, here. But they're deciding to boo the man.
That's just good Philadelphia.
That's some real good Philly stuff.
That's brotherly love.
Yeah, brotherly love. Like fight you in the backyard and break your nose, brotherly love. Because you took too many mashed potatoes. I actually fought my brother over mashed potatoes once. But
is that an Irish thing?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's an Irish thing. Yeah, it's potato famine, epigenetic stress. It all came out that day. But yeah, like I'm interested to see because I know they beat Indy. Yeah, it looks great, whatever. And Embiid does look good. Like he doesn't seem like he's in the best shape, but he looks good. We'll see what happens to this team that had the greatest offseason in NBA history. If you listen to podcasts,
they are so
people on the internet.
They are so disgusting to watch.
They look
basketball.
You talk about the Heat looking bad. The Sixers look gross, and we'll see what happens. I'm probably going to.
Melton has a steal in every game and hasn't turned the ball over yet, and I'm done watching him. It's just it's gross. It's so horrible to watch. Melton got a steal and threw it to Harden, and Harden just dribbled it for 20 straight seconds. Just push the ball, man. What are you doing?
Yeah. There's a lot but they're also having very interesting, like PJ Tucker's playing 40 minutes a game for some reason.
His eye shot must be unbelievable.
Oh,
and
my God.
Not looking good. It's not, there's something going on there too. So like, I don't know. Well, I'm going to keep an eye on Philly to see what happens. I think putting a little bit of money on Doc Rivers to get fired this season.
Yeah, no, that's a cheat day prediction. First coach fired.
Yeah,
sure. Doc Rivers.
We'll see what happens. There's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of pressure on this team. It'll be interesting.
All right. So those were our best things, our steak and eggs best thing. The opposite of that is our cream of wheat worst thing. What's the worst thing you saw this week? John, what's your worst thing?
So I went to a Lakers game last week. And I took in basketball the Western Conference way all last week. And the worst thing I've come is a grim realization. If you have a Twitter account that purports to follow basketball and expertise, and we're already down on just fans anyways, podcasters who are just fans in the first place as a zeitgeist. But if you are a West Coast basketball fan, it's hard for me to after experiencing the life, take seriously what you are saying, because it is impossible to watch the NBA from the West Coast. It can't be done. The game, all the early games start at like 3:00. How do you watch those if you have a job? The only things you get to watch, I now understand why the people are so Lakers obsessed. It's the only option you have, really. You can only watch the late games. If you go to a Lakers game, all the Lakers fans are insane and are convinced that the team is really awesome and they're not even that. they're not as nonplussed or disgusted by Russell Westbrook as I thought they would be. They're like the notion that everybody's booing him.
Seems like the online discourse is out of control for Russell.
The online maybe, but at the games, not so.
Who has a higher field goal percentage, Russell Westbrook or Patrick Beverly?
Russell
say Beverly.
Patrick Beverly.
No, Russell Westbrook has a higher field goal percentage.
Wow, that's after an 0 for 11 game.
They're both sub 30%.
Wow.
Of course, Russell Westbrook. I mean, trying to defend the guy, but that pull up jumper with 30 seconds left was an all time.
The West Coast basketball experience, like I need my East Coast basketball experience where you can catch up on the games at night and
no, but the dream was the West Coast. All the games are over at 9 and you can podcast that night.
Yeah.
You can have that podcast ready for people when they wake up.
That's psychotic behavior. You need to be able to luxuriously.
But I'm with it now.
In these games.
With the kids, with having kids, I like it that the kids go to bed and then I can just do all the basketball stuff. Like if the games were on from 4 to 8, like I'm being a horrible parent.
I already had a West Coast bias just because I like to watch the later games. But if I truly understand the West Coast bias now, you don't have an option. Yeah. You don't have it. You only. I think
the thing you missed with your analysis there is that you've included people with jobs on Twitter, which that seems
get off the internet, son, and get a job.
It seems to be a reach. I say that as a man who hasn't worked in 6 months.
Chuck, what's your worst thing?
Boom.
My worst thing, I'm having a second best because it's week 1.
I love that.
We're doing a second best. Speaking of LA, Paul George recently said he was going to donate $3 million to BetterHelp, an online therapy community. I love that we have this kind of normalization of mental health in the NBA. It's turning into something that, Kevin Love kind of was one of the first people to talk about depression and the things that happen to NBA players. John Wall, for example, talked about the darkness he went through going through that Achilles rehab and personal problems and being in the hospital with his mother with cancer. There's all this wonderful open vulnerability that's happening with
Kevin
NBA
Love,
players.
pretty good ninth man, by the way.
He's a great ninth man.
Now we're talking.
But yeah, I'm just I think it's good that we're talking about our feelings. I'm a big fan of people expressing how they feel to one another in order to manage.
Don't watch Lakers basketball, man.
They're all in what
They're
stage
like
of denial?
in bubbles, like they don't look at each other. Like all I did
That's
was
a stage of grief.
All I did was look at Lakers body language the entire game, just like, oh my God.
I mean, LeBron, there should be a Twitter account.
There were so many heartwarming kids like cheering for Russell Westbrook, though. I love that part, though. Like
that's the age you want your kids to be clueless, right? This is the era. You don't want kids actually knowing about basketball and watching this team because they would cry.
My worst thing is I'm worried that the Jacques watch is basically come and gone. It burned bright.
Well,
our pursuit of a player to miss their first 22 field goal attempts of the season, matching Jacques Vaughn's record. We had a beautiful young star breakout. First 2 games, James Bouknight missed all 10 of his field goal attempts. He unfortunately made a field goal attempt in his 3rd game. Now there's nothing. The forecast is for nothing. The leader in the Jacques watch right now, it's your boy, Chuck. Haywood Highsmith. But only on 3 field goal attempts. 0 for 3? That's not a Jacques watch. So my worst thing is we got nothing.
We got nothing.
We got nothing. Anyways, those were our worst things. Before we get to the awards segment of the program, we have let's do maybe one listener submitted question.
Let's go back.
Question.
Let's go back and do an actual Clint Harding question, since we alluded to a Clint Harding.
Oh, thank you.
Who would you rather have in your starting lineup? Ben Simmons or Dylan Brooks?
Ben Simmons looked cooked. Ben Simmons has 17 points and 14 fouls on the season. Dylan Brooks was actively harmful to the Grizzlies, but get this, John. Of the 41 Grizzlies 3-man lineup combinations so far this season that have played at least 15 minutes together, Dylan Brooks is a part of 6 of them.
Are the other 2 players, Ja Morant and Desmond Bane?
Is a part of the top 6 of them. The top 6 all include Dylan Brooks. Yeah, Dylan Brooks in the second half, he just chilled out, was like, yo, I'm going to stop shooting. Great move, man.
Great.
Ben Simmons, you have to have a unique roster construction, and you would think the Nets actually do have that unique roster construction. We don't need you to shoot. And even still, I thought he looked very cooked. Maybe he'll get a little bit better. If we're ignoring salary and everything.
Okay, well, that was going to be my cheat day again.
Oh, okay.
To use salary, but okay, I think if we're ignoring salary, it's like a very easy Ben Simmons. Okay. Just because there's, he a purported elite defense, and then, when he's terrible on offense, Dillon Brooks is also very capable of being that terrible on offense. So, if you want to talk about that dog in him, though,
yeah.
Oh,
you have one guy. You have one guy who wants to win, and the other guy, I'm not sure.
There was a Ben Simmons dunk in last night's game that I thought he was going to pass up. He looked around. He looked around for a pass before dunking.
I think it's fair to ask, like, if Ben Simmons actually likes basketball. Like, it's a fair question.
That was, I believe, the pre-draft report.
Yeah,
it's like he concerns he's not that into I don't know. Right. There was a play in the game last night. This also could have been my best thing. We're going hard, Grizzlies. It's okay. There was the play where Ja Morant burned 24 seconds of the game clock. Like,
and took a foul.
The Nets made a shot.
This was a Obi-Wan Kenobi mind.
This was one of the greatest things. So the Nets make a shot with 4 minutes and 25 seconds left to cut it to a 6-point game.
And then we start rolling it, Chuck.
We roll the ball in bounds, and I've talked about this a lot. Ja Morant just burns the clock.
It's like a shot clock of rolling.
The clock does not start until you pick the ball up. Ja Morant picks the ball up with 4 minutes and 1 second left in the game. So
3 minutes left in the
24 seconds have gone by. Steve Nash is screaming at Ben Simmons to go guard Morant. So he has to
do
pick the ball
something.
Up. So then Ja Morant picks the ball up. Still, Ben Simmons is really guarding him. And then, this was incredible. This was one of the most clever plays. This was Chris Paul-esque. This was maybe Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi Mind Trick-esque. Ja Morant's rookie year. And Ja Morant talked about this in the postgame. Ja Morant's rookie year, he was dribbling near half court. He turned around to look at the bench, and Ben Simmons stole the ball from him because he wasn't paying attention. Like, I remember Steve Blake doing this in college to the Blue Devils. In this game, after he burns the 24 seconds, he picks the ball up. And then Ja Morant fakes. Well, he looks at the bench, but he does it as a fake. He looks at the bench for no reason other to try to bait Ben Simmons into running at him. He looks back at the bench. Ben Simmons doesn't bite. Ja Morant looks back at the bench again. Again, he's not looking for anything. He's trying to trick Ben Simmons. And then Ben Simmons runs at him. Ja Morant turns around, dribbles, gets contact.
Yeah.
When the whistle blows that it's Ben Simmons' sixth foul,
he points to the bench.
And not just that he points for Ben Simmons to leave the court, but there was no hesitation. It wasn't like whistle, beat, oh, you're gone. It was whistle. And Ben Simmons and Ja Morant was like the referee calling the foul, raising his arm. It was simultaneously whistle and Morant pointing off the court. Like, I just fouled you out. I just faked you into fouling me. Why do I keep underestimating Ja Morant? The best player in the NBA.
The answer to Clint's Gordian Knot Nightmare Solomon's Choice question. I, at least, as much as I'm talk endless crap about Dillon Brooks, I would love for Dillon Brooks to be like the sixth man or the seventh man on the Grizzlies, which I guess is avoiding the question. It would be, I feel like it would be disconcerting and disheartening to have Ben Simmons on my team.
It is a player who shoots too much, but has that dog in him against a player who you can't get to shoot, who is more physically gifted.
I guess I'll answer. Let's answer this. I guess I'll take Ben Simmons because I do think you could have. I even think Ben Simmons would be kind of awesome on the Grizzlies. Like,
he would be amazing on the Grizzlies.
If you just had like an elite defender, like he would fit in perfectly. Wouldn't have to do anything else. And I would never. Here's the thing: I would never ever have to worry about him wanting to take 11 shots in a quarter when he's on the court with Ja Morant and Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
So yeah. I guess there you have.
All right. Well, that's a good question. Clint.
Fatal question.
If you guys out there want your question to be answered on air or as part of our monthly Zoom hangout, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. If you do that, you can also join the Pickle Pick'em. You can join our Slack channel where we talk about basketball around the clock. Do all of that, support the show, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. It is now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. It's given each week to the worst performance in a box score. We have a lot of honorable mentions. Norm Powell, 1 for 10. Dylan Brooks, 2 for 13. Desmond Bane, 3 for 16. James Harden, 4 for 18. Desmond Bane again, 6 for 22. And Terry Rozier and Trae Young, 7 for 24. Our 3 nominees, as they occurred chronologically throughout the week. RJ Barrett, in a loss to the Grizzlies, was 3 for 18, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls.
I've heard he looks fat. Can that be true? Can an NBA player who's not James Harden look fat?
That is not my impression. Okay. Drew Holiday, in a win over the lowly Sixers. Drew Holiday was 2 for 15, had 6 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 turnover, 1 personal foul.
Tried to trade for him after that game. Didn't work.
And then Russell Westbrook,
oh,
in a game we've already alluded to, in a loss to the Clippers, he was 0 for 11, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals. That's kind of fun. 1 turnover and 3 personal fouls. So RJ Barrett, 3 for 18, 11 points, 8 boards. Drew Holiday, 2 for 15, 6 points, 8 assists, 2 steals. And then Russell Westbrook, 0 for 11, 2 points, but 4 assists and 5 steals. This is one I wish we'd done the blind vote, the no names involved. There's so much baggage with Russell Westbrook's name right now. I mean, 0 for 11 pops.
Really does.
But if you told me, if it was like, I don't know, if you told me Kyle Lowry was 0 for 11 with 4 assists and 5 steals, and then, I don't know, who's another, and then RJ Barrett was like 2 for 15 with 8 points, I might be like, give me RJ Barrett. So I don't know. I don't know the right answer. I do think it's between Drew and Westbrook, but
I think it's Drew.
2 for 15. I
think there's a lot of dogpiling on Russell Westbrook that feels mean.
There is.
I'm not a big.
But then when he does this, when he's 0 for when he does the 0 for 11, then he follows it up with basically blowing that Blazers game.
I guess the 2 for 1 nonsense.
The 2 for 1 nonsense. That Kurt Goldsberry guy was like, here's a stat. It was like, in all 1 possession games in the past 4 years with the team ahead, no one has ever shot a 16-footer with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. It was like it was the first time in 4 years, apparently, with that very specific scenario.
Well,
I'm
an innovator.
I'm gonna make Chuck choose. I am gonna go Westbrook. The 0 for 11 speaks to me.
Yeah, and it's hard to figure out what the bias, like my bias is here. I guess I don't want to go. I'm going to go Drew. I don't want to go Westbrook.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's going through enough. He doesn't need us.
Empath Chuck strikes again.
Yeah. For the sake of BetterHelp, who's not one of our sponsors, but apparently got us to mention them by the generosity of NBA players. Congratulations, apparently Drew Holiday, on winning this week's International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. I mean, a 2 for 15 is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's a good bad line.
Really good bad line. Par fadeaway, gentlemen. What things are we looking forward to in the coming week? Chuck, what are you looking forward to?
I need to see what my team looks like on the road, and we're going to get a chance. Miami plays in Portland in the next day or two. And
finals preview.
They're going on a West Coast road trip, 1-3 after 4 home games in a row. There seems to be
you guys had the South Beach flu. That's what
I just don't know what's going on. This is a team that I thought would have the cohesion and the consistency in the roster to get out ahead, but they ran into a buzzsaw in DeMar DeRozan and Jason Tatum and all the guys. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to watching them play late at night, because that's
there you go. That's how time zones work.
That's how time zones work.
John, what are you looking forward to?
I'm going to be in Vegas this weekend. I've selected a game to watch in the sports book. You might be surprised by the selection. It's Bulls at Spurs. I feel like I can learn something from this game. Also feel like there's weird players to bet the player props on. I like doing weird players to bet the player props on. I think there's some strange. I think we can I can't believe I forgot to mention the Spurs in our cheat day predictions because I think they've been a lot of fun. That's who I'm switching my coach of the year vote to is Greg Popovich.
John, we should talk off air about player props. I am 15-3 on player props this season. No joke. Only betting the smallest amounts. I could buy a candy bar with all my winnings.
And I assume it's mostly Grizzlies.
It is mostly Grizzlies, but I have branched out. I've hit like I think I'm 3-0 on non-Grizzlies.
If you are a diehard fan of a team, this is the way you should bet sports. Is player props of your team. I've bet mostly Grizzlies player props in NBA forever. And if you can find them, it gets harder and harder to find them as they go on, as they realize, okay, we cannot put Dillon Brooks props up anymore. Stuff like that.
You know, one of my 3 losses was?
Go on.
Dillon Brooks over 2 rebounds. That was a loser. He got 0.
That's from last night.
Yeah, it was last night. He got 0 rebounds.
I can't believe we didn't talk more about Dillon Brooks' iShop score.
I had Dillon Brooks in iShop. He put up one of almost a record-breaking number. But here's the thing: last week my iShop team was hurt, and I needed desperation, and I needed shot volume. I needed the volatility of a good player, and I went with Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
So I actually started Desmond Bane in iShop. They negated each other.
Yeah.
Bane gave me -68 and Brooks gave me +70.
So
it was total wash.
Incredible.
My par fadeaway, similar to the Spurs, John. I'm interested if this return of the NBA middle class is real.
Yeah. We
have the Spurs playing well. Devin Vassell looking good. Josh Richardson's playing great. Jakob Poeltl outplaying Rudy Gobert. Like, the Spurs look good. The Hornets look good. The Wizards, totally respectable. We have these teams that do not have super high expectations. And also the Jazz, of course. The Jazz started 3-0.
MVP candidate Lauri Markkanen
killing folks. So
dunking on people.
We have these teams.
Dunking on Rudy.
Let's say Jazz, Hornets, Spurs, Wizards. They're respectable. They're respectable so far. And we know how the NBA season goes. You have aberrations early in the year. You have the week 2, week 3 regressions to the mean where you're like, oh, you know what? This team is in fact horrible. And I'm curious to see how much regression do we see? Like, it feels like the Spurs are playing well. It feels like the Jazz are playing well. They have relatively deep rosters of
could the Spurs just be like, here, take Jakob Poeltl, trade for him.
Well, so this has been the thing I've said for a while. When they say the cost of Jakob Poeltl is 2 firsts, ain't nobody in the league paying 2 firsts for Jakob Poeltl.
No.
So this is
what if you go 15 and 6? Then maybe somebody's taking Jakob Poeltl.
Maybe so. This is where, again, not to be anti-tank again. This is where the idiotic incentivizing losing comes into effect. Where it's like, why do mid-level teams have to be put in this situation where they're like, we need to get rid of our good players?
I have a Hornets fan friend who is so upset with the Hornets.
Yeah.
Because of Victor Wembanyama.
Dennis Smith Jr. stopped playing so well. Nick Richards stopped grabbing all the rebounds.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward, get a better haircut.
Man.
Gummo Hayward.
Gummo Hayward, it looks worse in person. Not in person, on TV. Like that one still photo, you're like, that's a horrible looking haircut.
But it's one of those haircuts where you're like, am I allowed to make fun of this?
Yes. Also, did he dye his eyebrows? It feels like that haircut made his eyebrows disappear.
He's like D. Antwoord.
I know,
like both members of D. Antwoord
in
together.
One. Yeah.
Also, my final thing is going to be: did Father Time truly come for Chris Paul? Someone pointed this out in our Slack. Chris Paul turned 37 on May 6th. Since then, he's averaging 8.8 points per game. They went 1-4 in the playoffs, and they're 2-1 this season. But he scored single digits in 4 out of those 8 games, only averaging 8.8 points per game. Did he turn it into a pumpkin when he turned 37?
That elbow shot still drops every time, though.
Yep. Anyways, that is our show for today. Don't miss the Millennium Tour coming to Memphis and the FedEx Forum on Saturday, November 5th. This year's lineup features Bow Wow, Mario, Carrie Hilson, and more.
Dang.
Tickets for the Millennium Tour Turned Up are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com or at the FedEx Forum box office. If you want to support our show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter at FastBreakBreak, Chuck the Mighty Chuck, John Master John Burr. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing